Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to a beautiful Monday here in Cyprus. It wasn't beautiful about 5 a.m. It was necking it down with rain, thunder, loud thunder, lightning. I hate it. Anyway, let's get on with today's show. I want to throw out there a few quotes before we start a discussion today. Dwayne Johnson on the dceu. He's had a lot to say, hasn't he? And he's not going to stop. I am in a different position than I was 10 years ago. Now I can ask for something and it will be done. Justice League and Suicide Squad coexist in the same universe. If fans want them to team up, their paths will cross. So we'll get into that very shortly, because I think I know now where we're heading to with all this. But anyway, here's a bit of an exciting one, unconnected to the first one I just read. Daniel RPK confirms that Superman and Supergirl are both mentioned in Blue Beetle, as they now coexist in the post-Flash DCEU, only because The Rock insisted. I don't know about that, because David Zaslav was very clear what he was going to do with DC, and he wanted Superman and the Super Family, and Batman and Wonder Woman to be front and centre. But he wants more than that. He's seen why the MCU's become successful, because it's an interactive, shared universe. And that works. It's not because they make great movies. One thing we're going to see from Black Adam is that the Rotten Tomatoes verified critic scores are probably not going to be that high. Be prepared for that. Hope I'm wrong. But that's how I'm seeing it. I think the audience scores will be higher than the verified critic scores. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Box office, I can see about 650 million. Anything more than that will be amazing. It could just reach 500 million. I don't know. That's what I'm expecting, because it is a good movie, a really, really good movie, but it's not a great movie. It's not The Dark Knight or something like that, as I pre-warned you when I did my non-spoiler review. Can't wait to do my spoiler review. Have a lot to say about the movie, the cameos, the kind of interconnectivity from the rest of the DCEU as well. So don't miss that when I do that. Hoping to go and see Black Adam on Thursday or Friday. So bear with me. Once I've got it fresh in my mind again, then we will talk about this latest chapter of the DC Extended Universe saga. So some very interesting bullet points there, and I want to discuss them. Very excited that Supergirl and Superman are a team in the DCEU post-Flashpoint. So that tells me we're talking about Flashpoint Superman in that post-credit scene in Black Adam. Now, he talks about if the fans want the Suicide Squad and the Justice League to interact together, he can make it happen. I believe him. He has a lot of power. But of course, he needs to hold his horses, because we need to know how well this film does, because there are no guarantees right now, because as I was boring on about earlier this year in every single video, the DC Extended Universe doesn't really have kind of fan loyalty. There's some people who like the Hamadaverse, there's some people who have loyalties to Snyder and his universe. It's very difficult. This is why I've been saying for such a long time, and I say this every day, probably sounds boring by now, that they probably should have just started again. But anyway, for now, the DCEU is here and we're going forward with it, because they're going to release these movies. But there's no guarantees, as I've already said. If these movies fail, then they will do a reset that deletes the entirety of the DC Extended Universe. And that doesn't matter if you're a Hamada fan or you're a fan of the Snyderverse. It's irrelevant. So if you want to continue that, whatever side of the neck, whatever neck of the woods you're from in this fandom, you need to keep that going. So it's pretty clear to me that the plan is another Justice League movie where the Justice League and Suicide Squad team up to fight Black Adam. Or, even better, a group of villains that includes Black Adam, that is led by Black Adam. Imagine this: Lex Luthor, Black Adam. Maybe Leto's Joker. Someone asked me yesterday, are they going to continue with him? Well, they're continuing with the rest of the original cast from the beginnings of the inception of the DC Extended Universe. So I don't know. Leto's one of those things some people love, some people hate. Everyone loves Cavill. Everyone likes Affleck. Everyone likes Gadget. People like Fisher for his performance as Cyborg. Maybe not necessarily him as a person. It's all up in the air if he's coming back or not. If he continues to make, passive-aggressive statements, he's done. They'll forget about him. That's a shame. So yes, I think what the Rock's like, used to be this woman in Coronation Street, a soap drama we were watching in the UK called Hilda Ogden, and we had Doc Cotton in EastEnders, and we called them gossips. Now, the Rock's a bit like those gossips. He doesn't tell you the actual information, but he gives you little clues, like he did with that Superman cameo for weeks. About 3-4 months ago, a fan was kind of saying to him, oh, I don't want any cameos, but if there is going to be one, let it be Henry Cavill's Superman. What did we get? A winking emoji, quote tweeting that tweet by The Rock. At that moment, it was pretty obvious what was going on. He can't keep this shit to himself. And that's great. And I'm sure the studio are thankful for that, because it just attracts more kind of eyes on the movie and puts butts in seats, which is what we all want if we want the DCEU to finally have some success. I love the movies apart from Justice League, but its success has been inconsistent, and we all know that. So yes, I believe the next movie that you will see Superman in and Black Adam in with lots of screen time is this movie, this Justice League movie that will be a team up between them, the Suicide Squad, probably the JSA as well. They're going to band everything together. It's no accident that, well, you know anyway, don't you? You know this is, I was going to stop myself, but fuck it. It's going to be released on Friday, Thursday over here. Looking forward to go to see it, of course. But yeah, we all know that the Suicide Squad has a little bit of presence in Black Adam. Cavill's Superman is not the only cameo in this movie. So it's pretty clear to me that this is what's going to happen. We are going to get a Justice League movie with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and the JSA, as I said, and other members of the DC Extended Universe, probably directed by James Gunn. He's been very quiet, James, on social media lately, and the only thing he'll post about is his wedding. I congratulate him on that wedding, but I'm kind of getting bored now, James. James, it's back to talking about geek stuff and nerd stuff. That's exciting and stuff, and I'm happy for you, but I'm joking, of course. Well, I'm kind of joking. Anyway, so that's what's clear to me, that they're going to do a Justice League movie that basically bounces off the new Flashpoint timeline they set up at the end of Flashpoint. And I think one of the reasons Batgirl was shelved because they were bringing other characters in. Obviously, Batfleck's still going to be a thing. We don't know if they're still doing Final Crisis. That's an interesting thing as well. We'll have to wait and see about that. But I think this is what The Rock is actually talking about. So when he says if the fans want the Suicide Squad and the Justice League to interact, I can make that happen. And I think he's being a bit facetious here because he already knows it is going to happen. This is where they're going. And I do expect Black Adam to at least make a solid box office. I don't think it's going to reach $1 billion. That will make me very, very happy. I just can't see it. I think it should have a good bounce in the opening because of everything it's been teasing. Because on its own, this film is a mild film. As I say, a mild film, I prefer Black Adam as a mild film to many of the kind of filler movies we get in the MCU. So I'm okay with that. But on its own, it's looking at just maybe slightly higher than Shazam money. Because this character isn't that well known, but The Rock is. So we'll just have to wait and see what the critic scores are going to be on Rotten Tomatoes and what the box office will be for this film. I've told you what I think. Now, you shouldn't be disappointed if it's not verified fresh. You shouldn't. By now, we understand the mentality of these fuckwits in Access Media. And don't worry, in about a week or two's time, they'll be shilling Wakanda Forever, telling us it's the second fucking coming. This is the world we live in today. And we just have to accept it. We have to take our hits and we have to take our failures. Whatever happens to Black Adam, it informs David Zaslav in what direction to go. Whatever happens to Shazam! Fury of the Gods, it informs Zaslav again. Blue Beetle, the Flash movie. All these films have to succeed if you want the DC Extended Universe to carry on. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I think the next time you see Superman won't be in a Superman movie. That's to come. I think the next project they're going to tease in a few weeks after Black Adam is released and officially announce it is a Justice League movie where everyone teams up against Black Adam and a selective, varied group of villains that we've already seen in the DC universe. And I would say that Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke is one of those. Rumours of James Gunn actually bringing Deathstroke back in Peacemaker Series 2 or something along those lines. So I think he will be involved as well. So that's where we're going. That's where we're heading. They're still going to reboot they're doing a reboot of some sorts of this. It's the brand new Flashpoint timeline. That's the Superman we're seeing here. I'm excited for this. Can this work? It depends how you, the fans, receive it. And I'm not talking about Snyderverse stands here. I'm talking about people who read DC Comics, the commercial mainstream audience. You're the ones who matter, because Snyderverse stands are just going to hate anything that's not part of the Snyderverse or what they don't deem to be part of the Snyderverse. So for me, the direction we're heading in is very exciting. Now, I love the Snyderverse and I want to see more. And if we get to see more, and if The Rock's saying to them we want to see more of that, that's good. I personally don't see, I don't see we're going that way. But again, just like the box office I'm predicting, just like the the verified score on Rotten Tomatoes I'm predicting, I hope I'm wrong. I go with my gut. I have to be honest with you guys how I'm feeling about this. But personally, I'm a fan of the DCEU. I like Black Adam. And I want it all to do well. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I will see you in the next video. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.